Now we are going to look at the next financial statement, which is the retained earnings statement. But this slide right here is going to show you how the number from the net income rolls to the retained earnings statement. So I'm going to show you that first, and then we're going to look at the retained earnings statement in detail. So net income, you'll see it here on the, if you can see that on the left-hand side of the screen, it says the net income is $2,860. That's what we just figured on the last slide. And so you'll see on the right-hand side is the retained earnings statement, and you'll see where that net income shows up on the retained earnings statement, okay? So we're gonna go to the next slide, and we're gonna look at the retained earnings statement. All right, now, a couple things about this. Okay, so first, name of the company at the top, Sierra Corporation. The name of the statement is the retained earnings statement. And then the date on this one is going to be the same as the date on the income statement. Okay, so it's for the month ended October 31st, 2022, right? Okay, so the first line is the date of the period starting. So since this is for a month, it's going to be the first day of the month. If it was for the year, it would be the first day of the year. So this is the retained earnings on October 1. Now, if your problem does not tell you what the starting retained earnings are, you assume they are zero. Every once in a while, you are going to get a problem and it's going to have a number for retained earnings. If it has a number for retained earnings in your problem, that is the starting retained earnings number. If they do not give you a number, you assume it is zero. Okay, so for in this one, it is zero. Your next step is you're going to actually type in the words, or in Wiley, you start to type add, and then you'll have a drop down. You add net income, and this net income is coming from the income statement we just did, right? Okay, so we're going to add the net income. So 0 plus 2860 is 2860. The subtotal there of 2860 has no title to it or anything. It's just there's a line and then it's 2860. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is it's going to be less dividends, and your problem is going to give you the dividends. So you look in your problem for dividends. Not all problems have dividends, but most of them do. Okay. So the next step is you're going to write the words less dividends, and then you're going to put whatever the dividends are, and in this case, it's $500. So now we're going to subtract $500 from 2860, and this is going to give us the ending retained earnings, or the retained earnings on the last day of the period. So this is for a month ending October 31st, so it's retained earnings October 31st. If it was for the end of the year, it would be December 31st, right? That's the last day of the year. And so we have 2860 minus 500 is 2360. So that's the retained earnings. So that's the amount of money that you've retained at the end of the month after all your bills and everything are paid. That's what you've retained. Now, if you were going to go do the statement for November, the next month, your starting retained earnings for November would actually be your ending retained earnings from October, because you go from October 31 to November 1. So your retained earnings for November 1 would then be 2360. Okay. Now, I have a question mark right there next to the retained earnings, because if your problem shows a question mark, says retained earnings question mark, the question mark is this last retained earnings. It's the ending retained earnings. So all that's telling you is that, figure out what the retained earnings are at the end. Okay. All right, let's see.